Dude, what the heck are you doing?
Oh, just tinkering with my character sheet.
In all my life, I have never seen anyone tinker with a character sheet like that before.
Haven't you seen anyone ever make an Artificer before? I'm just trying to figure out what race to play.
That sounds like the perfect topic for today's video. What's the best race to play an Artificer in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons? Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Steve, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Maybe it's your first time visiting Ted's Basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
Alright, so we're going to do the best race to play an Artificer, which is a great segue to today's sponsor, Nord Games. They put out some fantastic products, but today we're going to be talking about their new Kickstarter.
All right, so their new Kickstarter is all going to be focused on creating 12 new professions for your D&D character.
The ultimate guide to alchemy, crafting, and enchanting is going to feature new rules for, well, crafting, which has been an area in 5e D&D that a lot of people have been wanting more and more and unhappy with the magic item creation. Well, this book is basically designed to cover that.
The new alchemy section is going to give you alchemists that's broken down into 3 different categories, whether you're looking to make harmful potions, regular helpful potions, or somewhere in the middle. They got rules for that. It also has a whole section on enchanting magic items as well.
And not only that, you can expect well over 200 new magic items, including illustrations and art for everything. You're not going to want to miss this Kickstarter. At the very least, you owe it to yourself to check it out if this is an area of the game that you find intriguing or you find is lacking and you want to add to it. There will be a link in the description.
So as stated, we're going to do the best race to play an Artificer. And if you're familiar with this particular series, we break it down by, the stats that each race gets, the features that each race gets, and the theme of the race itself. So where do we start on this one, Dave?
So we're going to start with the stats, and for the Artificer, your most important stat is going to be intelligence, and then you can either go with con or dex, but primarily we're just going to focus on intelligence for this one.
I guess it's fair to say that whenever we do these types of videos, we have to throw out that race disclaimer. Anytime that you've got a race that has a generic +1 bonus that can be put anywhere, it's safe to say that they're going to be good at whatever it is that prime stat is. So your human, your half-elf, your Simic hybrid, and your Warforged are, of course, going to make a good Artificer.
With that, we are going to now go through the different books, and if that race primarily falls in one book, even if there's some subclasses that fall in another, we'll go with the initial book first. In this case, we're looking at the Player's Handbook that gives us 3 options.
So for that, we're looking at the High Elf, the Gnome, and the Tiefling, all of which get bonuses to intelligence, so they work out well.
And in this case, all the gnomes subclasses work. Tiefling, there's tons of Tiefling sub races, so you're going to pick and choose the one that best fits your needs. So we get 1 from the Elemental Evils Player's Companion, and that is a Genasi of the Fire subtype.
Next, we go over to the Volo's Guide to Monsters, and here we have the Hobgoblin and the Yontai Pureblood.
Eberron, rising from the last war, is only going to give us 1, and that is Changeling.
Mordenkainen and Stoma Foes is only going to give us 1 as well, and that we're looking at the Gith.
Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, we have the Simic Hybrid, and we have the Valdalkin.
So, all right, that covers all of our races that are going to get a bonus to intelligence. So next, we're going to move over to our features. So this is where something that they get in that block of racial abilities winds up fitting or meshing well with the abilities of the chosen class. So for this one, Artificer.
And an Artificer, pretty much this is probably going to mean some kind of tool skill or the ability to create stuff.
So first up is going to be the Dwarf, all of which are proficient with tools and knowledgeable about working with stone. So for that reason, I feel the Dwarf definitely fits into our our mold.
For similar reasons, the gnome, rock gnome particularly, also known as a tinker gnome, is on there as well. They get tinker tools, and one of their features is actually to make little clockwork creations, so that seems apropos for this particular class.
They're already in process to either making their own turret or Iron Defender. We're also looking at the Kenku, who are expert forgers. It's a small deviation from what it is that the Artificer does, but in this case, I think it works.
There's a specific niche we feel like the Kenku can actually fill. They're amazing at forging not only documents, but items as well. So they can actually create their artifices and pass them off as being someone else's. So if there's a really famous or popular artificer, they can make theirs look like theirs. They may not be as good or be able to do the same stuff, but they could probably pass them off as being made by that person. Vidalkin also gives us some tool proficiencies as well as access to some expertise, I believe.
And last but not least, the Warforged. Come on, man. They're freaking giant metal robot people. How much more artifice do you need to be?
And they still get a tool proficiency as well, so that just adds to it. Okay, so now we're going to go into themes. Now, theme is if there's some kind of tradition that particular race has in their lore that matches up with the lore for that particular class. So with that, let's dive into it. The first one on our list is dwarves. Dwarves make stuff. From the beginning of, mythology, not even D&D, pre-D&D, they've been making stuff. They make magic items. They made Mjolnir. They made a bunch of other Norse god magic items. So yeah, they got to be on the list for theme.
The rock gnome is the tinkerer, if you will. It's right in that, that little sub-descriptor of tinker. They tinker. They make stuff. As I already stated, they're already on their way to making the things that the subclasses get. So they are, in my opinion, perfect for the theme.
In Dragonlance, Tinker Gnome is tinkering is literally part of their culture. It's not merely just something they do. So kobolds, I feel like, have always had a tradition of being trapsmiths. For that reason, theme-wise, I think you could put kobold in there as well.
Warforged, they especially in the earlier editions, had things that allowed them to fix themselves. And, as they get tool proficiencies, they're literally made to do whatever it is that they need to do. That's their lore. So I feel thematically, I think they're perfect as well.
And they may have actually been made by artificers. And like you said, in early editions, it was one of the few ways they could heal themselves more efficiently. Earlier editions, they only gained the benefit of half healing. They would need repair objects or repair item skills. So yeah, and they would actually, I believe they actually could repair damage by actually doing repairs on themselves and using skills. So, steeped in their lore, their tradition throughout the editions, definitely I think these guys are themed towards artifice.
So lastly in our themes, we have the Vidalkin. We already said that, they've got tools and potentially some expertise. So they're scientists. They make stuff as well. So we're going to lump them in and, say, sure, they're going to make perfect artificers as well. And that brings us to the end of our themes. That brings us to the end of our list. Now it's time to say who makes the best.
So number 3 is Vidalkin from Ravnica, the Guildmaster's Guide of Ravnica. Because of, they fit into all the categories, so they belong on this list.
I've said, multiple times that rock gnomes are, we're on each of the different lists. They have the tinkerer in their name.
They were artificing before artificing was a thing.
That is entirely true. So for that one, our number 2 choice is going to be rock gnome.
Our number 1 choice is the Warforged. They literally are artifice, in our opinion. They were made by artifice to be artifice. Whether they're going with battlesmith or the artillerist, both of them I think would make an awesome artificer for the Warforged. So we're going to go with that. They just have everything.
I think if you look at the original Warforged art, I think the the stereotypical Warforged is the one who is an artificer. So
it's definitely one of them. So what do you think? What would you pick? We have a place to discuss it. Before we head on out, we would like to invite you to join Nerdarchy, the adventuring party over at Patreon. What can they expect there, Ted?
we're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that players and GMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways and our patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description. Join the Nerdarchy adventuring party. Until next time,
Stay nerdy.